weed. I was with somebody, and you know what? It was a guy that walked in with his pants down to his butt. We said, "Pull your pants up." You know what he said? I'll pull mine. I'll pull mine. I'll pull it up when y'all put y'all pants on. And I would say that these men, Jeff Ford and Larry Hoover, had their pants on. And if they could run and organize like that, if they got out, they would be a benefit to the society, not a detriment. Do you agree with that, and why?
I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that. I've talked with some of the brothers who respect. I've talked with brother like brother Ruger, brother Duck before he passed. I've talked with these individuals, and they know of Mr. Hoover, and they're the leaders of today. Believe it or not, we're not the leaders; they're the leaders of today, because they're reaching far more people with their word of mouth than we ever will be able to reach. With their songs and their music, they're the leaders. So when you communicate with them, and they communicate with their fathers, and then their fathers communicate with us, and we communicate with him, the trickle-down effect can happen. The old African or spiritual Negro or whatever, can tell his story through our stories of chime and rhyme. You'll be able to understand what it is that those older brothers are saying, because everybody will be working together.
Okay. And you know what? People that are looking at this broadcast, I would like for you to share this broadcast. You know what? There's a button, press to share. Because you know what? We have to support Brother Larry Hoover and Jeff Ford, Jeff Ford and Larry Hoover. I don't want to say both of their names opposite each other, because you know what? Both of them are important to the African American community and to the world. We have to work to try to get them out of jail. They should not, because they have so much knowledge in their heads. Right. Let me ask you this question. There's somebody that's looking at this saying, man, why should we let them out after they controlled and did all that wrong to them? There's somebody looking at this, and they're saying that, can you appeal to them?
Well, I definitely can. And you can too, because what man has walked on this earth and hasn't done any wrong? As a matter of fact, the Bible, I like to refer to it because most of our people are Christian. Who without sin, he without sin, cast the first stone. You know what I'm saying? So in other words, if you've walked this life perfectly, if you haven't done anything wrong, then that's the only way that you will be able to say that these men should not come home. These men were misunderstood, because what they represented was the unity of our people. And they did it in the fashion, you understand me, that was not acceptable to the powers that be. So when I asked you earlier that you have to pick sides, it's only because you're getting information from the wrong side, brother. That's the reason why you don't have a passion for these men. If not to go too deep, but
go ahead, come on, get down with it.
You're just on the wrong side of history. If you remember the account of Shaka Zulu, what side was you on? Because it was Shaka Zulu and that episode that created what they call the Africanos, the South Africans, them white Africans down there. You know what I'm saying? It's about what side you on, and that's where we have to understand. Pick a side. Pick a side.
And then they talk about I'm talking Jeff Ford. He was so bad. He was so terrible.
Yeah. Well, if he was so bad and he was so terrible, why was they giving him money?
Yeah. Why did Mayor Daley ask him to help get votes? Why did Jane Byrne say, you know what, help me get votes if he's so bad and so why? Tell me, because a lot of people don't know that because they don't read.
Yeah. See, I like to refer to that.
People that don't know who Mayor Daley is, he was the mayor of Chicago, and Jane Byrne was the mayor of Chicago in the United States. So please educate me, brother.
No, well, that's what it is. People don't know about Jeff Ford. They was giving money to Jeff Ford. Jeff Ford was giving government grants to operate the RUKNS and the Black Peace Stones. And where they fell out with Jeff Fort was because they felt like he had misappropriated funds that they was giving him, because he took those funds that they gave him, and he did what he felt like he needed to do in order for his people to stand up and be strong. You know, and even now, you know, these pictures that you got of these men, of Mr. Hoover and Jeff Fort, these are the legendary pictures that they show when they show Jeff Fort and they show Larry Hoover. But these men don't look like that no more. These men are old now. These men are going through what old people go through. You know what I'm saying? The health wise, you know, bone wise, age wise. They like to show the men strong like this, so that as they continue to keep them in cages, then you won't have a fear, or you won't cry a decree of inhumane treatment. You understand me, of how they got these old men now.
I'd like to ask you something. This is not related to this. We live in Chicago. I'm assuming you in Chicago.
Yes, sir.
But I would like to ask you, this is about Mayor Lightfoot. I'm not going to talk about her persuasion, because you know what, that's her own business. I would like to ask you something. Why are there a certain set of rules for the north side and the south side and the east side? For example, I can't walk down the streets with a beer, drinking it on the south side or east side, but I can do it on the north side. I can't walk down the streets with a joint, which I don't smoke, on the north side, but I can't do it on the south side or east side without being arrested. I can park and don't put nothing in the pay box when I'm at the beach sometimes and not get a ticket, but on the south or east side, I can't do that. Why? I'm asking you to educate us.
Ain't no education needed. Pick a side. This ain't nothing new. You know, the south side and west side is where we live. the north and the east side is where they live. That's you know, I got questions too. But it's all about picking a side, man. If you realize, I read a meme the other day, and it said this very important. It was deep. It said, a system cannot fail those who it was not designed to protect. And we keep looking for this system to do some good for us. And that's where our mistake is. You know, we keep asking these questions, we keep rioting, we keep throwing up our hands and say, that's not fair, that's not fair. Well, I don't, you know, at what time are you going to wake up and decide that you got to do for yourself? And that was the problem that we had. I know this is going to be controversial, what I'm going to say, but that was the problem that we had with Martin Luther King, because Martin Luther King came to integrate, you understand me? And when he integrated, then that put the black community in a bad situation, because now we've lost so many jobs. We lost our businesses. We lost our mom and pop stores. And now crime rises in our community. So on the flip side of Malcolm X was saying, hey, these white folks don't want you in their stores. Don't go in there. Go build your own. See, you go build your own. Now you employing members in your community. You know, so it's a big thing. You got to pick sides. You got to pick a side.
Would you say that Larry Hoover and Jeff Fort, with them out of jail, they could influence people to vote in certain blocks to where your politician would never dare do anything to the detriment of the people without retribution? I'm talking about political retribution.
Absolutely, because just like, you know, they call it lobbyists. They call it lobbyists. You know, when people want to run for office, they go to certain people in this community right now. Ask Obama. They go to certain people in the community and say, hey, would you back me? You know, I want to run for mayor. Would you back me? And these are two of the men that definitely people are going to come to. They're going to come to Mr. Hoover. They're going to come to Mr. Fort. They're going to say, hey, I want to run for mayor. I want to run for alderman in this community. Would you back me? And then you already know from the power of these men that, you know, whatever you say you're going to do in office, you're going to make sure that you produce that.
Yeah, man. And that's the way they would never. I feel as though people of color, I'm not, you know, all due respect to Europeans, people of color are being used by the Democratic Party.
Absolutely.
And you see them around during election time, but after when the election is over, they don't want to be bothered. That's okay. Right. I experienced that, man. I helped somebody get elected. And you know what? They had a party giving us chicken wings, but they had Wildwood Pops for us, and they had chicken wings if they had steak downtown.
Wow. That reminds me, though, you know, if you remember correctly, when we first started rallying and the growth and development and 21st century vote, we put Harold Washington in office. And people don't realize that. That was us that did that, because we was going door to door. We was picking up people in cars. We was taking them to the voting booth. We was becoming registrars. You understand me? And we put that foot to street, and we made that happen. And we put Mr. Harold Washington, you know, in office. And had not he been killed, you know, he would have been in office just like the political machine, Mr. Daley himself. As you know, the City Hall looked like the South Side. It was people down there getting things happening, you know, for themselves. And the Walshes didn't have all the contracts. You understand me? So we was able to distribute some of this wealth. See, when you ride down Chicago streets right now, if the Walshes ain't working on that street, it ain't getting worked on. You know what I'm saying? We was able to put aside some of those.
Have a construction company.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely.